marriage. What do you think about marriage? Because I've been making my study, and I realized that there is a high rate of divorce in the world today. Like, you go to different countries in America, in Africa, in every part of the world, there is divorce, and that's why we're asking a question. What's the view about marriage? And Jay is with me asking the questions as well.
You feel me?
Yeah.
I'm coming with the hard questions. Everybody guess, everybody think. That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
Yeah. So let go. Hi.
Hello,
So what's your name?
Mario. You call me Luis.
Okay. So today's question is, what is your view about marriage?
Well, I don't have no clue about marriage because I've never been married before.
Okay.
But I've witnessed a couple of marriages, and I've witnessed some couples who started from zero and ended up getting married, having kids. And I would say it's good and bad for some people because I've witnessed people who've been married for 10 years and happily married, and others who've been married for 2 weeks and divorced. So, but I don't really know what's behind the divorce or what's behind the marriage that makes it sweet. But I would say, I believe it's just love, and yeah. So everything is just based on love. And if you're really meant to be together, it doesn't matter, you're gonna be together. That's what I say. Yeah, so those getting a divorce, it's always due to something, misunderstanding, financial difficulties, lack of trust and stuff like that, I would assume. So, yeah, that's it.
Okay. So you mentioned divorce and issues or factors that actually brought about that divorce. Do you think that these people that go through divorce, do you think there's a way they could have, worked things out that the marriage would have lasted?
Yes,
Okay.
obviously, because I myself, I don't think I'll ever get a divorce if I get married, because I believe every problem has a solution. And some problems do take time to get resolved, but eventually, if you made up your mind to be with someone, you need to be ready for anything, and you gotta be sure, or you gotta know how to tackle some problems, when to tackle it, and stuff like that. So there's always a solution to anything. Nothing can reach to a point where you can say, no, I don't want to take it no more from someone you waited like 2 years or 3 years. You've been with for like 2 years or 3 years, and you marry that person, and eventually you get a divorce. That means something is lacking, and that thing that is lacking can always be found. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Hi. Hi. So what's your name?
Call me T.
Okay. So the question today is, what is your view about marriage?
My view on marriage is that I think if you love somebody financially, stable, it's just different factors into a marriage, and you really have to be committed. Jealousy, none of that jealousy stuff. Even though, sometimes we're human, you get jealous. But I think marriage is an important step. So that's why a lot of people don't get married. So.
Yeah. But, so how you feel about cheating in the marriage? Like, don't that put them down, truthfully? Like,
yes. Right. I feel like with cheating, I'm leaving. Like, see how that rhymes? Like, you cheat, I'll leave. Like,
like, why would that make you leave? You can't be like
cheat.
Kanye and Kim.
It's like, nah, cause cheating to me is like our relationship is like a community. If you cheat, cause you trying to mess with other people than me, that's offensive. So I'ma leave, cause the relationship, if I recall, is only for two people, not for a whole community. So You cheat, I leave. Like,
Can't be a bucket.
So, it means if you were married and your wife cheats on you, you would
nah,
you would leave the marriage.
Yes.
You wouldn't
that's-
forgive her,
Even if you have
No.
kids.
even if you have kids.
Well, I'll see the kids. I'll pick them up, take care of them, pamper them, give them anything they need. But I'm gone. like, like, if my son need $20, I put it in his pocket. Like, I'll take care of him. I'll take them places. Like, that's my kids. I'm gonna take care of my kids. But me and you, I'm gone. Hey, pew, gone.
So so what's your name?
Hi, my name is Kimberly Wren.
Okay. So today, the question is, what is your view about marriage?
Okay. My personal view about marriage is that it's a special relationship between two people.
Okay.
A lot of people will take it as like, oh, I like this person, I want to get married to them. But for me, I find it more like I want to meet someone who will be my best friend forever. Someone who will be with me through the ups and downs, someone who will be through worst times, best times, and all the times. And yeah, what else? Marriage is definitely special, and I feel like even though you may not find the right one at exactly what time you think, you're like, you should definitely try to wait until you find that absolutely one person that makes you whole. And I feel like a lot of people will, like you said, the divorce rate is like extremely high right now. That's because people just don't know what they're getting into. I feel like before you get married, you should definitely know that person for a while. I mean, for example, my parents, they met over online.
Oh.
And they had a long distance relationship. My mom lived in Texas, my dad lived here in Maryland. And they would just literally talk every single day. They would talk about everything and anything. And they met a few times, and after like the third time, my dad proposed to my mom.
Oh.
And yeah, they're literally each other's better halves. They're one for each other, and it's just fun to see them interact with each other.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Marriage to me is a therapy. Okay, you need it. I mean, it's a coming of two people from two different backgrounds, right? They never knew each other. They just met each other and probably dated, or should I say, courted for a while, and then they decided to take the bold step, you know, to become one. They say. Now they're married, and of course it has its ups and downs, definitely. I once heard about marriage where, you know, within the first week, what was the problem? Why did they want to call it quits? The husband wanted the toothpaste that they were using
Yeah,
To
that
be-
story.
to be opened, I mean, to be pressed from
The bottom.
the bottom, and the wife said, no, it has to be from the top. Can you imagine? So it involves a lot of patience. You understand? Tolerance you get. And most people these days don't have that because the demands are higher, you know. From all angles, the demands are higher, especially from the women's perspective. I mean, during the time of our parents, I mean, our mothers were just at home, 24/7, and the man had to be the hunter, go out hunt and provide for the family. But these days, the demands are high and tempers are shorter, so to speak. So, but my own perspective is that it's important because you need your better half. You can't take that journey on your own. Sometimes when you lose your other half early. I even encourage to get married because why? The kids need they need their parents up to a certain age.
Hey man, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
What's your name?
My name's Kyle.
Name Kyle.
Yeah.
What's up, Kyle?
up?
So, I have a question. How do you feel about marriage?
I feel like marriage is a way to take your relationship to the next level. It's not necessarily necessary, but it's something that allows people who are in love to kind of tie the knot in a way.
Okay. So there has been situations where someone has been together for over 10 to 15 years but never got married. How do you feel about that? Because that shows to me that you can be with somebody and you don't have to marry them.
I mean, I feel like that's fair because, you know, again, like I said, it's not necessary. You know, some people feel like if you like me, you should put a ring on it, but it's not necessary. You know, you can love someone and not have to have a legal documentation saying we're together. You know, it has certain benefits, I guess, but it's not anything that's like it doesn't make the marriage or the relationship feel any more real than just dating. In my opinion.
That's understandable. So, how do you feel about getting married? So, there has been other situations where some people hold like a grand parade for their marriage or go to an island to get married, but other people would just probably go with themselves to get married secretly. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I guess it depends on the person. You know, me personally, if I were to get married, I'd rather have like a small ceremony or something. I don't need a big showboat kind of thing saying, look at this exotic place I got married or anything. Because again, you know, marriage shouldn't be considered like a necessity, and I don't feel like people should have to show off their relationships to make it official. I feel like it's too much.
What would be the greatest downfall for you if you were in a marriage?
Probably cheating.
Cheating?
Yeah.
Okay.
On marriage necessarily is as one of commitment and trust. I believe finances play, but not to the key core. If we track back to, you're from Nigeria, so I don't know how well you know of American history back then, but in most cases, most people that went from rags to riches necessarily did have a spouse, and that spouse usually would back them through thick and thin. I believe marriage is about willing to struggle through your partner, willing to help your partner, things like that. I know in most cases it can be strange. It can be a lot. It can be tear-jerking and just back-breaking to constantly have to put yourself for someone else. But I believe that also teaches people selfishness. Non-selfishness. I'll say it like that because you have to pronounce it. That's why I personally believe through the thick and thin of it. Because nowadays when I look at it, there's some couples, like my grandparents, they've been married for like 70 years. Most couples nowadays can't make it past 2 years, if anything. I think that comes from the change in culture, the change in people, if anything. I'll also say social media plays a part in how we portray ourselves. Stuff like Facebook, stuff like these dating websites, you know, people lie and just things like that. And I feel like some people are too scared to hear the truth or they'll back away from it. Or some people want to believe the lies and eventually they find out and they're sick and tired of it, if anything. So that's why I believe that marriage actually plays upon society. If I have to say anything else, you know, I hear do this and that, but I see the opposite of what a lot of people do, what a lot of couples do, a lot of arguing, if anything, just not a good sight to see. And I believe when kids come into play, that's when things get more hairy, because you have some situations, like my man said, he'll take care of his kids, but he doesn't care for his wife anymore. Well, I believe that's not always the best scenario because it takes two to tango. And I don't believe you should have it where your kids have to pick and choose what parent they like, what parent they always have to stay with. I believe that really just hurts the psyche. And I come from a divorced family myself, along with a lot of my friends. So I can see where it gets a little weird in that sense. They can still love you and they might be neutral to each other, but in my opinion, can never really feel like a family until they both accept each other's faults. And so my view on marriage is accept the faults more so and also accept your spouse for who they are. That's my overall key message.
So what's your name again?
My name is Nick.